Hi guys. I've been wanting to record this for a while now, and then I get busy with doing other things, and then by the time I'm going to sit down to record, I'm exhausted. So I'm going to take you guys on this journey with me for the next couple of weeks, maybe couple of months. Um, I'm a little frustrated with myself, mainly more than anything else. I've been having symptoms to food dating back to 2017 is when it originally started. And the reason why my doctors and myself at the time decided that we weren't going to look into what was causing all of these issues with food was because of the timing of when it started. So prior to 2017, I had never really taken medicine or anything like that. So I ate whatever I want. I had no issues. And in 2017, after, towards the end of 2017, when I had tried all of these lovely drugs that I had reactions to, I started to have reactions to like half of these foods, right? And these were the reactions. They're very mundane, slow starting reactions. So they weren't something that happened immediately. These reactions would normally start within an hour to up to 6 hours after consuming the food. And, it first started with itchy skin. So like all over my body, I would get itchy, but there was no hive, there was no redness, right? Then it progressively got worse. I started having like bloating, heart palpitations. I started having muscle and joint pain. And I'm just reading off my list, like how they got worse. Then I started having severe congestion. So, like an overproduction of mucus started happening. Then it started with systemic inflammation all over the body. And it's like, it just kind of felt like every time I ate, um, I was catching like the flu, right? And then I would be knocked out for like days because, again, my body just needs more rest when I'm fighting something. And what we agreed in 2018 when a lot of these things were happening, that they were progressively getting worse, was that because I had had such severe reactions to medications, trying to find something that would work for narcolepsy, that we were going to give my body the time for it to heal and repair on its own because it had taken a lot of damage. And I was okay with that because at that point, I even taking a Tylenol was to the point where it was like, is this even safe for me, right? And and throughout the years, what I did is I just avoided those foods, right? So I haven't had pork in, I think pork was the first thing. So I haven't had pork in um, since 20, I want to say since 27, since the beginning of 2017, because it was the first thing that started. Then it was followed by beef, chicken, turkey, fish, started in 2018. Then no, it was mid 2017, excuse me, mid 2017. Because I remember we went out to eat. I went out to with a group of friends, and they all looked at me and they were like, "Are you vegan?" And I had not realized that I had stopped eating animal products at that point because of how they were affecting me. It wasn't something that I did on purpose. It was 2017, and then like when I became conscious of it, I was like, "Wait, why am I vegan?" Like I love cheese, right? So then I tried eating cheese and I was trying to eat dairy and my body was like, no. So in 2018, I officially was like consciously like not eating anything that came from animals. And then unfortunately, it started to like in 2020, I started having issues with then like broccoli, Brussels sprouts. Then most recently, it started with like asparagus and then it moved into like chickpeas to avocados, tomatoes. Now we're down to pineapple, apples, not apples, excuse me, pineapple and bananas. And I get it that some people get like the tingling when it comes to like pineapples or when it comes to avocado, but so these were my safe food. So pineapple was something that I was consuming almost every single day. Avocado was something that I would consume at least once or twice a week. Um, Tomatoes were something that I consumed weekly. Chickpeas were something that I consumed almost daily because, again, it was my main source of protein. And the interesting thing is that after I had my first surgery in April, so I had a total hysterectomy in April, where I kept my ovaries. And then in June, I had my gallbladder removed because apparently I had an overactive gallbladder and I didn't know. It landed me in the hospital with other symptoms that were unrelated, but that's what was causing the issue. So it's like my body is always sending like the wrong signals for you to get to like the center of the issue, right? And so when we discovered what was happening with my gallbladder, there was nothing, just an overactive gallbladder. So we decided that we were going to remove it after my hysterectomy, which we did. And as far as like those two surgeries and the symptoms from those surgeries, why I had them, I feel amazing when in connection to that. I'm no longer like bleeding heavy. I'm, gonna be checking my iron again to make sure I'm not anemic anymore. But my hormones are finally stable. Like it's things on that end are really good. But what started happening in the last like 3 or 4 weeks was that these last few foods that I mentioned, so like the chickpeas, the avocados, the tomato, the banana, the pineapple, and like eggplant squash, like anything in the squash family, like pumpkin family, is also giving me all of these reactions that I mentioned that gradually started. They all now hit me at once. And I'm like, what the, like, seriously, like, what is it with my body? So I decided that I was gonna get a new primary doctor, and that's a whole nother video where I'm gonna make a video about like really advocating for yourself and really getting to the point where we learn to interview our doctors before we qualify them as our doctors. And what I mean by that is not that I'm saying that I know more than the doctors. That's not what I'm saying. But I know my body better than a doctor does, right? Because I'm the one living it. I'm the one's experiencing it. So if a doctor just sees a symptom and doesn't take me as a whole picture, they're not gonna be my doctor. So I had that issue with my last doctor, and the reason why I stayed with her for as long as I did was because at that point, I was just looking at one specific thing that was happening, and I doubled down and forced her to like look into it. And then that's when I got my surgeries and everything scheduled. I was like, okay, once I'm done with this, I'm gonna look for another primary doctor, and that's exactly what I did. And I met with this wonderful doctor yesterday, and we sat down, and it was like perfect. She sat down, we talked about everything. What is it I'm looking for? What has been happening? And right away, she's like, okay, this is the game plan, right? Like, these are all the blood works that we're gonna run. We're gonna check your stool. We're gonna check everything. Like, we're not gonna leave like one stone unturned. We're gonna check for bacteria. We're gonna check for everything and anything, right? We're not just gonna keep on assuming that all of this is just because of the medications, because what then is causing your body to have all of these reactions to medications, especially when they are different types of medications. And I was like, okay, perfect. So I am excited. I will be going for blood work most likely on Friday because I have to be fasted, but I have to be really well hydrated, and I have things to do tomorrow. So I'm gonna be doing that on Friday. I had already booked an appointment with an allergist. So I'm actually gonna go to the office where I used to work. And I'm gonna see one of the doctors that I used to work with, and just to roll out like allergies, because I honestly don't think, at least I don't think that I'm actually allergic to these foods. But we are going to explore that aspect of it. And once we get all the blood work done, then we're going to move forward. She honestly thinks that I should see a rheumatologist, that I should see an endo, and most likely a GI doctor as well. And I completely agree with it. But she wanted to have a baseline to start with, right? Because I'm a new patient of hers. So I saw her yesterday afternoon, and she told me to give her to the evening so that she can put in my lab work request, because she wanted to really go in detail as to what has been done repetitively, like what has been, like what was my other doctor keeping track on, right? Like, my vitamins, I feel like I have something on my face, like my minerals, my vitamins, all of that. Like, what have their levels been? Not just checking generally, like, your thyroid is usually what most doctors want to just check. She wants to go in detail. So I was like, no problem. So she said that the order should have been in by last night. So I'm going to call later to confirm that they're in so that I can go Friday morning to get them done. And, I'll probably make a little clip as I'm walking in. I'm probably not going to record the actual blood work being done because I don't know if people like being recorded or not. I'm going to ask. But that is going to be step one. And I can definitely bring you guys along the walk into the allergist, but I'm not bringing you into my allergy appointment. I can give you guys a recap after the appointment and see what happens there and what happens, like what blood work he sends me for as well. What else? So right now I've been eating since Friday. So today's Wednesday. So since Friday, I've been on a white rice, apple, and water diet. That is the only three things that I am consuming until I go see the allergist. And the reason for that is that I have been taking antihistamines twice a day, morning and evening, alongside a leave multiple times a day in order to help with the itchiness that I was having all over my body, the inflammation, the joint and muscle pain, and the congestion, right? So, because there is a high possibility that I will be getting skin testing pricks on my back, if I don't have any antihistamines in my body, I wanted to be prepared for it. So I decided that I was just going to take myself off of the medications that I was taking to help combat the symptoms that I was having. So keep me in your prayers because I still have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, another 5 days on this very restricted diet that I put myself on. I'm not going to lie, just because I want to be able to make it to that appointment without having to take any antihistamine. That is the goal right now. Well, that is all that I have for this rant, and I'll keep you guys updated. And as far as the narcolepsy, if all of this other shit wasn't going on, honestly, I can pretty much manage with naps. And that's what I love about it, that I've been able to really listen to my body and really be able to manage that aspect of it. But then all of this other shit that is happening is really making it more challenging because then my body is requiring a little bit more to just get to its baseline. Well, that's it. Love you guys. Bye bye.